Paris, chérie, mon beau Paris, c'est toujours toi que j'aime.
Hello and welcome again to ParisSetMeFree.com, Paris photo tutorials, where I look at a photograph that I've taken in Paris and talk about it. Who is this fair young damsel, you may be wondering? Is it a Parisian drifting hazily, romantically through the streets of Paris? Well, kind of, yeah. Not a true Parisian, but certainly someone who loves Paris. It was someone who came on one of my photo tours. Can you guess where it is? Well, let me give you a clue. I'll give you a verbal clue first of all. It's a very artistic area, but it's not a place where you'll see artists in the street. But if you do walk down some of these streets, such as Rue de Seine or Rue Mazarine, I think it is, it's almost like being in an outdoor gallery, because you're walking past tens and tens of galleries, as they call them, basically art galleries, but not public ones where you're supposed to go in, have a look around, and if you want, buy some paintings. So that's where we were. Let me just show you it on the map. Let's zoom in. It's in this area here, which is a very famous area, Saint-Germain-des-Prés, and it's just around the corner from there's the island, there's Saint-Michel. That's what I was talking about. There it is, Rue de Seine, Rue Mazarine. Can't honestly say that I know where we were 100%, but we were definitely around about this sort of area. Let me just take you down there, see what Google have got for us. There you go. You can see art galleries. What did I tell you, eh? Look, these cute little stores with art in them. You know, go buy, go look, go and have some fun. And so we were walking in this area, so very inspiring. From a photographer's point of view, it's great because you can cheat, you can put other people's art into your photographs and get away with it. Although if you just take sorry, I sound like I'm being some sort of preacher or something, but I don't consider it much of a photograph if you've just taken a picture of somebody else's art. It's about getting the environment to interact with them. And look at this. You know, I've got a feeling that we did spend a bit of time trying to get someone interacting with that picture in that window. You know, someone looking in and looking surprised or something. So that's where we are, in this very artistic area of Paris, but not a place that you see people painting. And that was the final result. So let's back step a little bit. Hang on, I'll just show you the whole thing. That's what I came up with in the end. Before I talk about that anymore, let me just go back to what I had to work with. I had quite a few shots. What we decided to do was play around with blur, with sharpness and blurriness. So I had her, Amanda, walk towards me, and I tried to take some pictures of her. There you go. So I had this one. Well, you can see that was one of our first attempts. Okay, look in particular at the legs. Look what's happening there. I tried to get her in mid-stride with one leg further back and one forward. Look at the face, it's a blur. I could always zoom in on that, but hang on. But it's still a blur, you see. Alright. Otherwise, I had these two. You can see this one is a complete and utter blur. So the problem with that is that you've actually lost. I mean, the blur can be nice, but you've actually completely lost the idea almost of a head. It's this weird kind of half headless body. Whereas the one I went with in the end was this one, because you can see the head. But having said that, well, you'll see in a second what I'm going to say. Also, the legs are quite nice and clear. But guess what I did as I was taking the shot? I mean, look, she's a blur, but also the background's a blur. So we're not talking someone moving who is blurred against a sharp background. And we're not talking panning. Panning is where you follow a moving subject with the camera, so that when you actually take the shot, the moving subject is actually quite clear because you're following with the camera, but the background is a blur. We're talking something else. We're sort of, everything is blurred, and yet doesn't that mean, sort of camera shake? People look at it and think, well, it's okay, but shame you couldn't hold the camera steady, or just a bad snap. And yet, if you look at this, I feel that this is a worthy shot, even though everything is blurred. So I chose this. What on earth is that doing there? Bye bye. I chose this one for a start because the subject was quite clear, and there was good stuff to work with. Plus, there's some sort of detail in the face. Now, what's happened to the face? Let's just have a look at that. The face is there. There is a face. In fact, this is the weirdest thing you could ever imagine, and it's nothing you can ever plan. She's got two faces. It may not be too easy to see, or maybe you can in this video, but have a look at the original photograph. She's got two faces. There's the first lips and the nose and the eyes, and yet where that eye is, there's also a mouth. There's her other nose, and there's two more eyes. So how's this happened? Well, hey, God moves in mysterious ways. So she's actually got two faces. Her body is reasonably clear. I mean, you look at the edge of that arm there, it's almost a clear, straight, solid line. Very sharp almost. Yet the background is a blur. I mean, you can tell it's a blur, not just because it's a blur, but look, look to see how blurred it is. Look at the street sign. That white would normally be very clearly delineated with the red. It's not. Look at this. Now this is where you can get clues. Look at that post. What way is the camera moving? What way is something moving? That post should have straight edges, and so should this one. It hasn't. It's got this kind of weird fuzz, bzz, bzz, on each side of it. Bzz, bzz. So what does that tell you? But look at the way the fuzz is going. Can you see the way those lines are sort of splaying out, zoop, zoop, that way and that way? What does that tell you about the blur? Am I just moving the camera sideways? Am I moving the camera up and down? Is it just that I'm trying to hold it still and I'm not succeeding? Look, even her legs have got a little bit of blur on the edge there. Dare I tell you the technique? I think what it was a bit of zooming. I think I zoomed as I took the shot, and that's changed everything. Why she has two faces is I could possibly think about it, but honestly, who knows? Because two faces, there are two quite clear faces there, if you look at it, which would suggest that the camera was focused at one sort of level for a small amount of time, and then at a different level of zoom, for example, at another. So maybe I opened it up, put the shutter speed quite slow, maybe a second, and then focused on her, took a shot, held the zoom in the same position for about half a second, really quickly zoomed the lens, and then left it at the new zoom for another half or a quarter of a second. So I actually got two sort of images in one for the price of one. I mean, there's ways of doing double exposures, even on modern digital cameras. You can just say, okay, give me a double exposure, take a shot, point it somewhere else, take another shot. Can be amazing. But I must admit, I like the real nitty-gritty double exposure where you do it yourself. The lens is only open once, but whilst it's open, you do some interesting stuff. So I love this shot. I absolutely love it. It's an enigmatic picture of a lovely Parisian girl. I think she'd like to be one as well, walking through Paris. Love the skirt, by the way. That's all for this time. Thanks for visiting. See you again soon. Leave your comments. What do you think on ParisSetMeFree.com and its blogs. Bye bye.
Depuis que je suis à Paris, le jour et la nuit, je suis gris. J'ai compris la douceur de vivre. Je suis fou de joie, je suis ivre. Depuis que je suis à Paris.